welcome to the Horse's Eye series part 2. This week we are going to be carrying on with adding some layering and some dark to the underneath the eyeball there and into the reflection. So for those of you that haven't been here before, I'm Kez. Phil is with me, but he's not reading comments out today because he's cleaning the workshop over there. So he's around. So right, we're going to get started. We're going to get started. I'm just going to press on for the overhead camera here and move that across there a little. And what I'm going to do is zoom in so you can see exactly what I am doing. So I am going to be using the Optima one, and I'm going to be using the spear shader. I want to say spoon shader then, but it's not, it's a spear shader. We'll use the spear today. Just because it's great for shading and adding lines and stuff in there. So, hi Andy, good afternoon sir, how are you, Lucy and the children? So I've got this on a number 2, this Optima is on a number 2, which this one burns quite high, so we don't need it so high on numbers. So we're just going to go underneath here with the dark parts. So just going to gently, now I want no pressure on this pen. What I want to do is gently scrumble. So the scrumble is the circular motions. And just add some layering in to darken this off, because it is actually quite black in the bottom of this eye. Trying to find the best way to hold my hand actually. So there we go. Adding some of that in. It doesn't look like it's adding much in, but it is adding some in. It's just very, very subtle at the moment. The children are good. I'm recovering from my op and Lucy is still struggling. Well, I hope she's not struggling with much. And I hope you recover really well from your op. And great news for the kids. Hi Mick, I hope you're doing well. Hey up Andrew, afternoon to you. So Phil is here, for those that didn't catch it in the beginning. He's just tidying the workshop, so he's pottering around. So you're going to have to bear with me while I'm reading comments out myself. So actually this is on number 2. I'm going to turn this up slightly actually. I'm going to do it to 2.5. Hello Bitten, how are you? Hello, nice to be back. I found out today that part 1 was last Sunday, so suddenly we're very busy. Yes. Yes, we did do part 1 last week. We just took a couple of weeks break. I was trying to get the final things sorted out for the Phoenix Academy, so I just needed to take a couple of weeks break to get that sorted and get that launched. Now it's launched, we are back on track with this beauty. So hopefully it's well, it is, not hopefully, it is all back to normal really. As normal can be. Mick. Oh, how are you getting on, Andy? Hi, Mick. Oh, you're just all saying hi to each other. Great. Nice that you're talking to each other. I'm glad you're recovering though, Andy. So, have you had to take too long off work, or have you got to bounce back pretty quickly? So what we've got in this eye is a reflection. It's actually 2 people. So I'm just being conscious that it's actually quite dark around the people, and they are just slightly lighter. And the person here is actually wearing a pair of white shorts just here. So actually I think the swinging motion is working better than the scrumbling, so I'm just going to carry on with that instead of scrumbling. Scrumbling wasn't working very well. Hi Kez, what's normal? No, I have no idea what normal is, mate. You're asking the wrong person. I made half the part 1, so it's fine. Is that machine better than the Peter Child's? I don't think it's any better bitten. I just like this particular tip, which is the spear shader. So it's just that this is my favourite tip, and I find that it's easier and quicker to work with on here. Looks like you made much darker, much faster without burning. Yeah, it's because I've already added the layer. The base layer in, that then I can go in and burn a little bit darker without having that yellow overburn. I'll be off for 4 weeks climbing it. Yeah, I bet climb. My dad was always retired truck driver, used to do continental work. So yeah, I know how demanding that the job is actually. People think you're just sitting in a truck, but you're really just not. Not when you get to like your stops and stuff like that. It's not just sitting in a truck. So, well, I hope you're not climbing the walls by the end of the 4 weeks, mate. So, not a lot of pressure on this pen. Don't need it. And what I'm doing is I'm using this side as I'm going up, and then what I'll do is twist it slightly and use the opposite side to come back down. So it looks like I'm not when I do it fast, but I really am. And it just eases in quite nicely. It's nice and gentle on the wood. The wood itself is just a piece of basswood. So just drag that down. Get that burning under there. Because it needs to be really, really dark. So the horse's eye, is here. And as you can see, it's nearly black under there. So this is what we're aiming for. He's nearly black. I'm thinking of the eyelashes. They were very difficult with the spoon on the Peter Child. Now I like this particular tip because the eyelash, because I can use the edges. If you're struggling with the spoon bitten, maybe try, and you'll have to turn it down, is the standard loop. I don't think I haven't got one to hand. I'll see if I can have a look for one in a minute for you. And it is literally just the straight kind of like nib thing. That's all it is. But you just have to turn it down and make sure that when you do your eyelashes, drag it rather than pushing it, because if you push it upwards into the wood, it digs in a little bit when the pen's a bit warm. So we're going to get some of that dark in there. Like I say, it really, really is quite dark in this eye here. So just moving slowly, because the slower you burn, slower you go, the darker you burn. If you move fast, then you end up with a nice light burn, which is great if that's what you're aiming for. But today we want dark, so I'm going to go a little bit slower. So just pulling that underneath that eye. There we go, and up that side there. So what I'm going to do is pull down on this side here. So I'm just using the opposite side of the tip and just pulling down. This particular tip gives a nice wide shade, which is lovely. There we go. And I'm going to pull down a little bit more, add another layer to that, because that is still really, really black in there. By the time I get back to work, it will have been 5 weeks. Bless you. Oh yes, okay, I know what you mean. Okay, Britain. Yeah, no. When you're so used to sort of like working and being on the go all the time, it's difficult to stop, even when you really, really have to stop. So there's no pressure on this tip at all. It's just ever so gently, ever so gently. There we go. So that's darkening really, really nicely now. Just got over here to do. So pulling that down, you find it easier to either pull or push, and it's okay. Just go with the flow, really. Whatever you find is easiest. I'm still just using either one side or the other side of this tip. This tip isn't flat onto the wood. Just dragging that dark burn into that other part of the dark burn. You can see that these reflections will start popping soon. So I'm going to just give that a bit more of a defined line and then pull down on that section too. As you can see, it gives a nice wide shade. But it's still giving me the fuzzy edge that I require for this. Just adding another layer in there. I went to a stick makers show earlier on, and I've bought myself some new wood to try. Well, actually, I'd got a piece and I didn't realise what it was. I've bought some alder to burn on to see how that goes, because there seems to be quite a bit of that around at the moment. It's obviously the time of year. Are you burning at Harrogate? Yes, I'm demonstrating at Harrogate. I don't know about burning it. Thanks, Mick. But yeah, so from the bottom I'm pulling up into there, because we need to darken that down quite a bit. But yeah, I will be demonstrating at Harrogate, which I'm looking forward to. It's always great to see everybody. So just gently burning. Going up the side of here, because these people here, even though the reflections still need to be darker. So we're going to go darker. So what I'm doing now is using the edge, so this edge here, and I'm just going to go up and down on the same edge because it gives a nice light burn, but it gives it a wide burn. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because it gives me the light burn, and I'm able to control it better to the different tones that are in this reflection, because this is actually quite dark down this side here of the body where it meets this other person's body. I can only assume that this person here is a male and this person here is a female, but I'm only assuming, and I probably shouldn't assume. You can't actually see properly. So just getting some of that in there. And like I say, it just gives me the light shade without adjusting my temperature. And by moving slightly faster, backwards and forwards, it also gives me the lighter shade. It just means I'm able to control the layers a little better. I'm there on the Friday. I will stop by on my purchasing frenzy. Well, it'd be great to see you, Mick. It'd be great to see you. Are you there this year, Bitten? And I do believe I've asked you, Andy and Lucy, I think they're there. What about you, Andrew? Wivey Woodshed? Are you at Harrogate this year? I know I spoke to you last week, but my brain is a blur. So I do apologise if I'm repeating myself. I quite often do. There we go. So we've still got to go darker under here, because actually the camera is picking that up as darker around that horse's eye than I've actually got it on the wood, believe it or not. No. Try dragging it, it's a bit better. There we go. I'm going to take that up there and darken that down a bit more. No, you won't be there. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Would have been good to see you again. There we go. So just following the lights and the dark shadowing that's in this eye on the reflections. Trying not to, well, you don't need to think too much about the reflections. It's just a case of, obviously, you can see that there's an illusion of a reflection of two people in there. And that is sort of basically how reflections work. The only thing we'll have to do is these eyelashes here, they will need to go darker because they are relatively black. What you're seeing on the camera, you're actually seeing a little bit darker than what I've got it. So I'm just going to use the side of this tip, but I'm going to be pulling down slightly because these are lashes. I need to have them relatively lash shapes, if that's the right word, which probably isn't. There we go, just darkening these bits down. And across there. There we go. So that's darkened that down nicely. No, it's so expensive. I get a plane ticket to London and return for 34. But Harrogate, it is, yeah, it is expensive. But would love to. It'd have been lovely to see you again, but I can understand that it is very, very expensive. Spent too much at the AWGB. Yeah. No, I didn't spend too much. Did you come back with Steve's COVID? Because I think he was very, very kindly sharing it. So just going to do the same again with the lashes over here. Taking these, I'm actually going to use the tip here just because it's awkward to get in. And bring those parts. Now I'm making sure that I'm going in the direction of the lashes even though it's dark, because it's very important to keep with the flow of eyelashes, fur, hair, that kind of thing, whatever you're burning. There we go. What's that? No, I managed to avoid it so far. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pull. I'm going to go around and get some of this soft fur in up here. Horse's fur is very, very silky soft, and it actually comes out when you're doing photographs. It looks shiny. So when you're doing shiny fur, you have to accommodate for the lights and the darks. So the shiny bits need to obviously be lighter, even when it's a dark horse. So I'm just using the side of my tip again, just dragging backwards and forwards, just to add that base layer of fur in. So I've got that one coming around. I think it comes all the way over actually. So we're just going to bring that all the way over. And it comes down to about there. It's just where the eyelid part is. There we go. So we've got that bit in there, keeping the shape nice in there. Get in there, in there. See, I've put this dark line in here, but it will go darker up and it will go darker down because that's where the fold is of the eyelid. There's like quite a few folds. Yeah, that is the darkest one. This one here. So just using the tip, going side to side. It's just like in a sketchy motion. rather than a deep line. This will give me the fuzzy edge that I want. When you've got realism, you've got no sort of hard lines, not unless you're doing buildings, but in this particular piece there is no sort of real hard lines, so we want fuzzy edges all the way. And now I'm just going to use one side just to go backwards and forwards to fill in that base layer of fur between these two lines here. Just bringing that over there into that corner of the eye there. And there we go. Just taking that there. So has anybody been doing anything exciting this week? Or have you had a great weekend? Well, I hope you've had a great weekend. So just add in some dark into this corner, because this corner of this eye here is actually really dark with fur. It's like black fur around the eye. So I'm still using just the edge, and I'm just going in backwards and forwards, say sketchy motion, swinging motion, whatever you want to sort of call it. And just filling in where that is really dark. So now we've got the base layer in, we can get in like the extra layers. There we go. What we got here? Just keep checking back on my reference photo, and I'm just going to use this edge this time to bring down and around and there. So I've got this patch here, but it really does need to go a lot darker, so I just want to get this in here just so I've got the shape of it, really, because the shape of it makes all the difference. There we go. And then I'm going to use the opposite side just to bring that in nice and smooth. Just underneath that eye there. And under into that edge bit there. So what I'm trying to do is follow the shape. It makes all the difference when you follow the shape, because it gives you, when you follow the shape and you can kind of see the lines, it gives you the illusion that that's what's there. Art is like tricking your eyes. I'm going to bring that up there, just like that. There we go. So that is quite dark, so I'm just going to pull down. So I'm using this edge here. I'm going to pull down, and because I've got that base layer in, I know I can pull down a little bit slower and it will burn darker. Just turn my alarm off. It will burn darker and it won't give me that overburn that I really don't want. It really does help having that base layer in. Push up with that bit, there we go. Just going to fill that bit in just a little bit darker. Just starting to lose the two. I know you're not on screen, you're not losing it, but I am actually starting to lose it on the wood. There we go. Hey, Jamie Pie. I had a project to shear off the lathe and disappear across the workshop like a frisbee today. Ouch. So I went for a coffee instead. Yeah, I don't blame you, mate. I'd have gone for a coffee too. Oh, dear me. We've just moved our lathe. Phil decided he wanted this flipping lathe 6 foot across the workshop after we moulded it in. So we've had to move it 6 foot across the workshop today. Must admit, it looks better. I'll agree with him. Even though I was cursing him when he come and told me I need to move that. I was like, are you jesting me? How are you and Vicky, Jamie? Hope you're doing all right. So just figuring out where I am. So up to here is actually quite dark. So just going to go backwards and forwards. Still just using the one edge when I'm going backwards and forwards. Just trying to get that soft burn. It's actually really dark in this corner of this eye here. Just add in some of that layer there, because this dark bit carries on. There we go, adding that in nicely there. This corner of this eye kind of goes, it seems like it goes for miles actually. Oh, good, cheers. Good, glad you're all right. It's always good to hear that you're all right. There we go, just and pull that down. So I'm using the opposite side of the burner this time and just pulling down and going back up again. Just pulling it into that rounded shape there. Because it's actually really, really dark, but that part there is actually nearly black, just under there. Just using the tip just to add that in, just kind of plotting these dark lines in. Sometimes when you do your line art, you do so many lines and you kind of lose what lines you're on. And it's important to keep plotting them in where possible. Otherwise you lose them and they all go into one. Which I have done before and had to sand things back off. especially if you've got a piece that you keep having to keep like turning around. There we are, so just pulling that around. There we are. So it actually comes right down to about there. Yeah, because this here is a fly. I didn't actually notice there was a fly there until I started doing the line drawing. It's actually really weird. I thought it was part of the horse's eye, because when you see the actual full picture of the horse's eye, it's actually quite far away. I was like, oh, that's a good picture. And I've got fly. Can't exactly take it out, can I? I'll leave it in. There we go. So I'm still using just the edge. So there's no pressure on this pen. I don't think you need pressure. You don't really need to cut into the wood. I'm just bringing that shape round. I think we need to bring a little bit more round off there as well, just off this side piece. Bringing it around there and down and then underneath. So just darkening that down, just adding a few more layers now. And you can see it's starting to come through the more layers I add. You kind of underestimate how dark something actually needs to go. Pull that down from there. There we go. And pull that one. So just using the side still of the burner and pulling it down. I do apologise if you can hear him rustling around over there. He's rummaging through drawers, he's sorting stuff out. Now he's moved his lathe. He's sorting it all out. He's made a unit to go under the lathe to house chucks and stuff like that. All the stuff that goes with the lathe. Now he's rummaging through all of his stuff to get it all together in one place. Is the skew point or the knife point a little bit like the tip that you are using? The skew point can be, but if you've got a skew point and you're trying to use it, I would bend it at around about a 45-degree angle, because it will give you that sort of shape if you've got the angle. All it is, it's just the angle difference. That's all it is. I did have a Peter Child's skew that was bent to a 45-degree angle, and it worked really well. But what I had to do is I found that the edges of the metal were a little bit sharp, so all I did was I got my polishing compound on a piece of leather, and I just really gave it a real good rub, and it just kind of like knocked what I want to, it's like a burr, it like knocked the burr off. So that worked really well. I haven't got it to hand. I've been playing with the different bits and pieces of the Peter Child's and the razor tip in the house, and I've left my bowl of tips in the house, so I can't even show you a bit, and I'm sorry. So, Kez, tell Phil he can come and sort my workshop out when he's done. Mick says you can come and sort his workshop out when you're done.
I'm not sweeping his shavings.
He says he's not sweeping your shavings, mate. You can do that yourself. It's really quite good. I just feed him food and coffee every now and again. He does quite well. Don't throw them at me. I've just taken a swig of coffee. I really need to drink something. There we go. Better now? So just going to get some extra layering, just building up some of this extra layer in here. Just pulling that down and just using this side of the tip just to pull towards me, just adding in that extra layer of burn. When you add in the extra layer, it adds a darker value, and when you're working with the darker values, it's really important to work against the values with realism. So all the different tonal values. It's fine, I can see it on Turner's retreat website. When you buy them bitten, they are straight. So they are literally just straight. So like when you've got the standard loop and it's straight, that is how they come. They come straight. Another thing, actually, thinking about it, is if you've got one of the standard loops, what I have done in the past is bent one of those to a 45-degree angle, and I've used the bottom part where I've bent it, and I've used that as a soft shade, and that works pretty well as well. I think as long as you've got like the 45-degree angle, it works pretty well. And another one that I've used is just a piece of wire, and bent that at the 45-degree angle. Like I say, I haven't got my pot of tips here to show you what they look like. So you actually have to bend them, so warm them up, turn your machine off, give it a bit of a bend, see what it's like. If it's not quite right, give it another bend, just have a little play with it, bending it and tweaking it. And you know, you'll eventually get something that you quite like. Hang on a minute, I've got a pot one pot here that I had a student working with that I still have it here. So I wonder if I've got anything in here. Let me just put that down a minute. Yeah, so, oh, now I've thrown it on the floor. Bobbo for finding that. Right, so what I've got here is I've got a piece of wire bent into a similar sort of shape as what the standard loop would do. Press the camera, there we go. So what I would do is, if you want something with the shade, is just bend that into the 45-degree sort of angle and try sort of like working with it like that, and just see how you feel. Say have a fiddle around and a play around and see what works best for you. But yeah, I mean, with the wire from the Peter Childs one, you can make so many different tips. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit more up here. I'm just using this edge here. It's like, even with the tips, I mean, they're the wire tips, they're probably thicker than that is, and I'm just using the edge. I use the edge of these quite a lot. The only reason I prefer these tips is because of how wide it is that way. So I've got lots of surface to be able to, you know, work with and work with the shade. Gives me a wider shading point. When you're working with those teeny tiny spoon shaders, they are only giving you little really thin lines really. So, hi Wayne, hope you and Valerie are okay. It was great to see you earlier. Trying to find space, yeah, for wood storage. I did offer to come and collect your tables and chairs, mate, for you, and then you'd have had lots of space for your wood, wouldn't you? Stop cursing me, Valerie. I know you can curse. I know you're cursing me now. So let's get this in here. This dark bit of this eye. It's like the corner of the eye where obviously the bottom meets the top. There we go. Just using the edge again, just to gently add layers. What it does is, because when you gently add in layers, I'm able to blend from this dark here and go into the lighter, and it blends nicely. Just bringing that up and over, just there, and then bringing some, just going to bring some lines in for these eyelashes here, just to define them a little bit more. There we go. I offered to build another shed, but that didn't go down well either. No, I don't suppose it would do, mate. How many sheds have you actually got now? Because I know you've just built the big one, but I know there's also lots more sheds and, well, sheds and sheds that you don't call sheds. So we've defined them a little bit more. I'm just going to add a little bit more in here, and I keep coming back to things. You can't. You think that they're it's going to be dark enough, but it's not always dark enough. Just adding that in there. I'm just going to take that up. I was going across this way but just where there's a little bit here, there wasn't any burn going into it, so I'm just going to go with the grain just for a second, just to fill that bit in. Sometimes that's what happens with the grain of the wood. It's a natural product, so it's going to throw a few curveballs. You just have to work around them. So I'm going to add. So what I'm going to do is go backwards and forwards, but I'm going to go backwards and forwards in short strokes. And the reason why I'm doing short strokes is because that is short fur. There's no good doing long strokes now because we've already got the base layer in. There's no good doing long strokes for short fur because it would just look really weird, and vice versa really. So this is kind of going to add the colour and perhaps add a little bit of the texture in as well of the fur by doing shorter strokes. Oi, Mr. H, are you eating chocolate? He's eating chocolate. They didn't bring me any. Sacrilege! That's not fair, is it? Compromise with a lean-to, Wayne. Yeah, that's a good idea. Not quite sure what it's going to lean it to, though. Right, so this fold here needs to be darker and thicker. So I'm just going to start adding a little bit of that thickness to that. Now I am just using the tip of this and I'm going sideways because I still want that fuzzy edge. What I need to do is just darken the line down a little bit before we get too much of the short fur in underneath. Just so I don't lose that particular line. Oh my gosh, it's like nearly 5 to. I didn't even realise what time it was. Like burning and talking and burning and talking. And the time just flies by. So just again, just gonna get in there over the top. What was that? There we go, just darken it down, just so, I mean actually you can see a lot more of difference on the camera than you can in person. It actually doesn't give as much difference actually as I'm looking at it. I have to keep checking to see what you guys can see on the camera. Right, so this edge here is darker. And that goes up there. There we go. Just to darken that top lid down a little bit. because there's a crease just there as well as, and I haven't got the what's it on screen today, I do apologise. So this bit here is actually sort of these 3 lines here, and then you're going up and over with that, do it with that one, this line up here, and then obviously that one's darker as well as. So there we go, put that back in there. And just keep going with this. There we go. Take that up and over. Seven sheds and a greenhouse. Still room for one more. But yeah, 4-sided lean-to. Leaning into fresh air, yeah. That'd be a good idea. I say you can't exactly lean it to anything. Did you actually buy much wood, Wayne? We've still got a boot full. We haven't unloaded ours yet. But you couldn't leave it there for that price, really. So inside this eye is actually quite dark as well, but I don't think we are going to attack that today. I think that's for another Sunday, because we've only got a few minutes left. So just add a few darker bits in here. Add some layering on there, just for the few moments that we've got left. There we go. There we are. So I'm just still using this side, but I'm using this side instead. So I've got it twisted slightly, or tilted rather than twisted over. It just enables me to get that base layer in at a nice wide shade, just so I can work a bit faster, really. I've been trying out the razor tip machine, and that's been working out quite well as well. And it's nice to have wire tips as well as pens. So to choose from, it's been quite nice. Here we go. I think we will leave it there for this week. What are you saying, Wayne? Definitely couldn't leave it. Some of the pieces were less than half of what you'd pay normally. Yeah, absolutely. They were an absolute steal. And you can never leave wood when it's a steal. Seriously. Right, I'll bring you back onto the intro camera. Looking presentable, maybe. Anyway, it has been fabulous to have this hour with you. What's the matter with you? There we go.
Not done a lot.
No, probably not. Never do. Never do. So there we go. That's horse's eye on there. Ooh, iPad. And that is obviously what we are doing. So next week we'll just carry on with the layering and the fur and things like that. So it has been an absolute joy, fabulous, to spend an hour with you just creating and chatting and everything else. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Mick. Is that me or the other wood? Messing with you. The wood, of course. So I just make wood look pretty. Yeah, so it's been an absolutely fabulous time to spend with you guys. And you're welcome, Bitten. You're welcome. Thank you all for joining me. And we will see you again same time next week for more layering and more fur. See you soon. Bye. Bye. See you soon, guys. Bye.